What's good? I've just created a super cool spreadsheet for you guys. I don't know if anyone is actually going to like this, but I just find this like super cool. When you want to start running Facebook ads for your school or whatsoever, this is genuinely going to help you tremendously. Let me just show it to you. So basically, this spreadsheet is here to basically calculate like, are your ads actually profitable or not? And basically, this is gonna help you like just to calculate if you're actually doing the right stuff with ads or not. And as long as these metrics, which I'm gonna explain to you in just a second, are good, your ads will basically be good. So basically, what this does is basically, first of all, there's a link to this document in the description. Click on File, make a copy, and then you can make a copy for you with this for yourself, basically. Now again, do this, then you can enter your own numbers. But in this case, let me just give you like an example. So ad spend, this is basically the amount of money you want to spend on the ads, let's say within like the next 30 days or whatsoever, right? So let's say, I don't know, you could spend $1,000 within the next 30 days on the ads. And then you say, all right, cost per lead, what do I think is a good cost per lead? If you don't know it, I would just go with like $10 cost per lead. And what you could see now, this stuff right here is starting to be like, there's some numbers popping up here basically. Now you can, for example, see if we spend $1,000 on the ads and we have a $10 cost per lead, we basically get 100 leads. Now, what does this thing right here actually mean? Lead to booking rate, right? If you just hover over it, this node will open up, and lead to booking rate, LBR and percent, basically means it basically represents the percentage of leads who book a trial class. It is calculated by dividing the number of trial class bookings by the number of total leads and multiplying by 100. So let's say if we have 10 leads and 5 of them book a trial class, we would have an LBR of 50%, right? So basically 10 leads, 5 of them actually book a trial class, 50% lead to booking rate, right? So let's say we assume we have a 50% lead to booking rate. Now, booking to show rate, same thing, just now it's with the bookings to shows. So let's say we have 10 people who book a class and then 5 of them actually show up. This means we would have a 50% BSR, so to speak, right? So let's assume this is also 50% in this example. And sales conversion rate, no, this is sales to closing rate, sorry. Basically just means like if we have 5 people who come for a trial class and 50% of them sign up, obviously you'd have 2.5 new students, so to speak, right? So let's assume this is also 50%. And lifetime value, this is just how much does each student spend with you over their lifetime at your school. I don't know, let's say for you, let's assume this is like, I don't know, $500 or whatsoever, right? Um, this, I'm gonna get into this in a second a little bit more, though, so don't worry if you're a little confused right now. I just want to put some numbers in here so you can actually see how this works, because I find this like super cool, right? And when I'm now working with a new school, I can just like give them this, and it's like we're not being emotional if we're making progress or not. It's just like, do the numbers look good, yes or no, right? And we just calculate, and like I just give them this sheet before they come on board, and I just show them, right, you want to spend that much on the ads, this is the results we're gonna get, right? Anyways, so yeah, assuming all of this stuff, basically in this example, if you spend $1,000 on the ads, you'd basically make 6.2k in revenue, and you would have a profit of roughly 5.2k, right? Assuming those are your numbers. Now, obviously, the link is again in the description, so you can do this with your own numbers, and I'm gonna explain all of these numbers with you in a second again. Let me run you through this. So we've basically spent $1,000 on the ads. And we have a cost per lead of $10, right? Which means we're obviously going to have 100 leads, right? Now, if we then have a 50% booking rate, so out of these 100 leads, 50 of them will actually book a class, right? As you can see, we have 50 bookings then. Now, let's say out of these 50 people who booked a class, only 50% actually show up. They don't have it. Then we would obviously have 25 people who show up for a trial class in June, right? And then let's say 50 of them are being closed, then you would basically have 12.5 new students. Now, this is going to be a little bit odd because you're not going to have 12.5 new students, but mathematically speaking, you would. Anyways, and then revenue, this is basically just calculating like the lifetime value. So if you had to have 12.5 new students and the lifetime value is 500, then you would obviously have made $6,250. Now, this is profit is then basically just the revenue minus the ad spend. This is then what you've made in profit in with these ads, which is pretty good, I guess. Now, what people would argue now is, well, about lifetime value, that's not what I'm gonna get back in directly in the month, so to speak. So it's like, once someone becomes a student, they're, for example, paying like, I don't know, $150 to come on board, right? And then if you sign 12 new students or 12.5 new students, you will not make 6.2k within like the first month, right? But you still will need to spend that ad spend, which is why we're calculating the lifetime value. Because sure, they're not giving you that money back directly in the first month, but they're still going to pay in the second, third, and fourth month, if that makes sense, right? Like, it's not like everyone who comes on board is directly going to quit, and lifetime value actually takes care of that completely. Meaning, if you get if you get 10 new students, for example, right? Sure, some of them may leave after the second or third month, but others may stay for like 2 or 3 years, right? So we could say, I don't know, on average they stay for like 6 months. I don't know, whatever. You kind of get the point, right? And then let's say on average they spend like $100 per month on your school, then it would be like $100. Then it would be $600 as the lifetime value. You should have a CRM or something like this for this, which basically gives you that exact number. I would always rather be a little more pessimistic with this stuff, with the lifetime value, than being too optimistic, because I would rather think that I'm making less money than I'm actually going to make. I guess I think everyone thinks like that, but you kind of get the point with this, right? Um, Obviously, this is going to then require like some upfront capital for you to actually start running those ads. So it's maybe not something for you if you're like not having any money to spend on the ads, and but you kind of get the point, right? Like in the long run, you will make your money back basically, as long as you hit those KPIs. Like obviously, if you have shitty classes all of a sudden or something like that, right? And way more students leave than usual, then that's a different story. But we're obviously not calculating like your churn rate within here right now as well, right? So we're just gonna keep it with those numbers because we're just calculating this stuff for the ads here right now, right? But basically, all you need to basically worry about then is, all right, do I constantly have a $10 cost per lead on my ads, right? As long as this is the case, you're good. Or then the next thing is like, all right, do 50% of the people of the leads actually book a trial class, right? Do 50 of the people who book the class actually show up? And am I actually closing like 50% of the students who come in for a trial? This is obviously assuming you're doing a free trial class, which I would always suggest you do. I don't know, people suggest a lot of crazy stuff on here, and like obviously do what you think is best, but I think just advertising for like a free trial class is always the best thing you can do. It usually always works, I guess, right? Lifetime value, I've said this already, be a little more pessimistic with this, but all you need to worry about then is basically that these KPIs here, that they're basically staying the same, like that you hit those. Now, what may happen, for example, is you have like a lead to booking rate of like 70% all of a sudden, but then you only have a show up rate of like 30%, right? Which kind of makes it even again in a weird way if you really think about it, because you have more people who book a class, but you have less people who show up. But in some kind of way, this then like makes it even again. As I said a second ago, right? Like you kind of get the point of this, and yeah. But assuming like if you don't know any of these numbers, I would just say stick with a $10 cost per lead. Stick with a 50% lead to booking rate, 50% show up rate, basically, so booking to show rate, and 50% sales, 50% show to closing rate. Sorry, and keep your lifetime value pessimistic. I would say for most schools, the lifetime value is going to be something around, let's say, 300 if you're really on the bottom side to like 1.5k, like something in between should always be your lifetime value. I'll assume if you're watching this, right? What exactly it is for you, I can't tell you that, unfortunately. But you kind of get the point, and you can basically track all of your numbers like this pretty easily. Now, one thing I do need to mention though is there's going to be like seeing this mathematically is always great, right? And it theoretically also works exactly like that. But obviously, business isn't as straightforward sometimes. So, dude, there's going to be shit happening where people cancel classes or they reschedule classes and stuff like that, right? Or your conversion rate all of a sudden is completely shitty or whatsoever. Like, there's always going to be stuff which is going to go wrong. But I just say, as long as you stick to those numbers, and as long as you can, like, you've put your numbers in here and you're actually sticking to them, you're good. Now, obviously, the other thing is, if like this, it's not like, all right, it's the beginning of April now, and let's say in April you spend $1,000 on the ads, and then straight up also by the end of April you'll have 12.5 new students. Like, it's probably going to be like some of the leads that you've generated in April may only just become a student in, let's say, May or June, just because they scheduled a class for, let's say, 2 weeks from now. Then they need to reschedule for a week later. They show up, but they need to think about it for another week, and then they're actually signing up, if that makes sense, right? So and this is just how business works. Like, you do still want to get them to sign up, obviously, as fast as possible. Once they shop at your school or once they book class and stuff like that. But you kind of get the point. So some of the leads that you generate in April, then with those $1,000, which you, for example, spent in April on whatever amount, some of the money, like some of the students you're going to generate from this ad spend are just going to come in later on. It's just always going to be like that, right? Yeah, but I guess you kind of get the point of this. Like, if you have any questions about this, let me know in the comments, or if you have any other video ideas, let me know in the comments. If you basically want us to take care of all of this stuff for you, then you can schedule a call. There's a link somewhere in the description. Schedule a call with me directly on there. You don't have to, obviously, and otherwise I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.